afternoon, everyone. I wanted to jump on today and talk to you guys just about pushing through and self-care. Earlier this week, I was in a really tragic accident. I was driving to the grocery store with my 3-year-old daughter, and trust me, this won't be a sad story forever. I have a purpose. And a young boy who had just gotten his license ran a red light going about 55 miles an hour. He T-boned me. His car went partially through the door where the side my daughter was sitting on, took off the back of my car, spun us into a circle and down into a ditch. Thank God everybody is fine. The young man had no problems. His car didn't even have any damage because he had a huge Suburban. Those things are made of pure steel. And me and my daughter, we have spent this week sort of healing. But one of the things that I had planned for myself was a podcast earlier this week. And so while I was in the hospital and they're, doing my CT scans and they're doing x-rays and things like that, I started to brainstorm this podcast and what I was going to say. And I'm getting overwhelmed because I'm like, I don't even have time to come up with a plan. And I was supposed to just talk about the thing that made me most successful as an entrepreneur. This whole time I'm getting all worked up and I'm getting overwhelmed. And I'm like, I'm never going to be able to answer these questions. I'm never going to be able to fully participate because everything that's happened to me. And then I get the news from the doctor who says, okay, well, you have a concussion. And so for the next 3 days, you cannot do anything. You can't watch TV. You can't get on your computer. You cannot use your phone. You can't read. You have to give your mind a break. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like a break? I can't do a break. Like I started thinking about all the things I'm supposed to do, all the clients I'm supposed to meet with, how I'm supposed to be working on my book and just everything and how that's going to slow me down. And then immediately I started to think, if I don't take care of myself, then in reality, I'm really going to be slowed down because I'm going to be no good to any of my clients when I'm not good to myself. I'm not going to be any good to my children if I'm not first good to myself. I'm not going to be any good to anybody. I'm not going to be a good book writer. I'm not going to be a good coach. I was a counselor for years, so that always pops in my head. But I'm not going to be a good coach. I'm not going to be good to anybody unless I'm good to myself. And so I took those 3 days and I completely laid in bed. And trust me, it was tragic. It was so boring. I was so overwhelmed. All I did was lay in bed and eat and sleep. And so basically I can't wait until I'm released to be able to work out again because I'm like, this is disgusting. As you can tell, I'm sort of like in my loungy clothes this afternoon because I literally have just been kind of laying around the house. I haven't cleaned. I haven't given myself too many difficult tasks because I really wanted to give myself a break. And so as I'm laying there and I'm thinking about all these things that I have to do and what I'm going to do, and I'm mentally checking off my, to-do list, or I'm mentally writing it anyways, because I definitely wasn't checking it off. I found myself getting overwhelmed. And then as I started to reflect, I was like, it is so important that we have these down moments. It is so important that we have this down time. Maybe not for 3 days. Obviously, I had to based on what the doctor recommended. But it is important that this is something that we make a priority in our life. There's so many times that we're always go, 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 and we're missing the moment. We're missing the message. We're not taking time to sit down and engage with our kids. We're not sitting down and taking the time to do our work thoroughly. We're so worried about being busy and staying on top of our to-do list that we're not even really being impactful. We're not even really being productive. I was that woman before. I was that person and obviously I still struggle with it, as you can tell, but I was that person that when I was in school, I was so busy because I was working and I had a kid and I'm writing these papers. And so I just wrote the papers to say that they were written, but I wasn't really putting effort into them. And so I was getting, A's and B's sometimes C's, and I was just okay with it. As long as it was turned in, as long as it was complete, then here I was and I was done with it. It was off of my plate. It was off of my to-do list, but I wasn't dedicating myself to that. And as a client, how would that feel as a client? If I was your coach and I was just on the phone with you, okay, yeah, and I'm not really putting my effort into it. I'm just talking to you and I'm just doing it just to say that I did it. And there's no compassion. There's no passion. There's no drive behind it. It's just happening. And so what these 3 days taught me is that when I do take that time away, when I do regroup and I do refresh, then I come back and I have all this energy. Like I came back and the ideas that have been birthed over these last 3 days are crazy. I added an entire chapter to my book this morning because I had the last 3 days off to think about something that I wanted to talk about. I brainstormed an idea for for my subtitle on my book. I mean, all of these things were birthed because I slowed down. We're always so busy in the moment and moving that we're not listening. We're not waiting to see what comes to us. And so that's what I really wanted to talk to you guys about today, is just slowing down. When I jumped on this podcast and they asked me my number one thing that I would recommend for every entrepreneur to be successful, I said it was to take me time. And it's funny because a week ago when I thought about this podcast, I was thinking of all these things. I was going to share like a productivity hack. I was going to share reading. That was going to be my number one, thing. But I really, after these last 3 days, which I do not feel like was a coincidence, after these last 3 days, I have really found so much value in just sitting still, just being quiet, just waiting for ideas to come, just allowing your brain to do what it does, to be creative, to not take in everything that's happening on social media, and not to be overwhelmed with all the cleaning that you need to do, and just to take a break, just take time to take care of yourself. I have really thoroughly, in the moment I didn't enjoy it, but looking back, I thoroughly am grateful. So grateful for the doctor's request for me to take that time. I feel like the ideas and the things that have come from me laying down are going to just multiply in my business. They're really going to have a positive impact in my business. They're having a positive impact on me. I've already rewritten my schedule for next week, and I included more me time in it. I included me as a priority on my schedule instead of everybody else, because now here, sorry, my phone was ringing. Now here I'm seeing the value in me taking that time. And that is why I was so inspired today to come and share that with you ladies, because to me, I'm like, how many women are not realizing the value behind this? And I wanted you guys to know, sometimes you have to take breaks in order to have big breakthroughs. Take a break today. That is my challenge for each one of you. Take a break. Maybe it's not going to be a 3-day break, and that's fine. Like I said, that's not ideal. But take a break. If it's a 5-minute break, it's a 10-minute break, wherever you go, take a break. Allow yourself that downtime where it's quiet. Another thing I'd recommend is maybe take your break in nature. Sit out somewhere where you don't have any distractions, your phone's not ringing, nobody's interrupting you, and you're just letting your mind wander. You'd be so surprised how powerful it is up here. How many things are up here that could impact you in so many ways. Maybe you don't have a business, but you have a career. You have a spouse, maybe. You have children, potentially. Your brain needs that time to think about that. And I don't mean just to be creative in businesses, to be creative in the different roles that you walk through, to be creative with the different hats that you wear. Take a break. Let me know how that feels in the comments below, how it feels to have that downtime. Does it give you energy? Does it help you regroup and refocus? Does it push you and make you, more motivated when you take that time? And once you start to feel what I felt, you'll start to want to plan it more regularly. So I'm looking forward to the comments and what you guys thought about taking a break. And I will chat with you ladies later. Bye.